Everybody loves Breach, and Breach can make you serious amounts of money without any problems, with you just farming breaches, gathering splinters, opening those clasped hands, and slaying breach lords in your breaches, in your maps. And it's not that hard. You may play it in many different ways, with investment, without investment, with some other different mechanics that will complement breaches, or without them and purely farming breaches. If you enjoy this league mechanic, it can be on pair with Legion quite easily. You will have a steady flow of currency, you will have tons of monsters to kill, it will be awesome. And let's go and roll through all the things, through Atlas talent tree, through every single thing that you want to play with or without in this farming method. What are we gonna sell, which things are gonna profit us the most, and all that good stuff. Okay, now so Breach, if you are unfamiliar with the mechanic itself, it's an opening circle on map that just creates a bunch of monsters that run towards you. You kill them, they drop loot, they drop splinters for breach lords. Breach lords drop valuable uniques, valuable items that people need, and there are some clasped hands and big hands inside those breaches that are like chests. You can just click on them and they will drop some good stuff like the Chosen divination card that may award you with Skin of the Lords, or you can just sell this divination card by itself. Otherwise, you do have talents to convert breach splinters right into breach stones themselves, so it will be even more money. But just in general, breach splinters that you will have together, so it will be a lot of clicks. They will inadvertently in the future convert to breach stones, and breach stones you will sell. So we want to specifically focus our Ulnetol and Chayula splinters, breach stones, and breaches. These two are one of the they're just main breach lords that cost a lot. You can specialize in one of them, or you can specialize just in general in breaches and increase the chance of spawning either that or those in your maps. So how often do you sell, and how easily can you sell everything that drops from Breach? Breach stones are very popular, and it's an easy task to sell them. So you will not have anything dead in your inventory or in your stash tabs that will lie there for weeks or days. People buy these things, people buy the Chosen, people buy the Skin of the Lords because of how OP it is. But the Skin of the Lords, there's a little bit of a gamba, but still the Chosen divination card it sells quite easy. Splinters you don't need to sell, so you don't need to sell many things in bulk and to trade people different amounts of things and stuff, because people probably will just buy your breach stones in general, or flawless breach stones, or so it's gonna be big items that will sell for pretty good amounts of currency, and you wouldn't have to sit in your hideout for long times. You wouldn't need to buy anything from vendors like with Expedition, some farm types and stuff. It's just for killing monsters, getting the rewards, and then selling them in quite fast manner. Okay, now let's talk about the talents first, and then we're gonna talk which ways can you amplify your breach strategy, and which ways can you farm everything with or without investment. And just in general, to be clear, breaches, they need you to be quite fast, or at least potent in terms of speed clearing, because breaches are timed activity and you want to clear them fast. You want to go fast, gather all the hands, click on them, then take all the splinters while the breach is opening, so you're not losing that much time. You want to quite often pair it up with Delirium, which makes it a bit harder in terms of you needing to be a strength. You need to have a powerful character to clear all that stuff. But in general, for just the slowest type of characters, it's not the play. But if you are just an okay and good in terms of clear speed, and your character is fine, then it's more than good, and you will have have a good journey here. And by the way, higher tier maps increase chance to spawn Chiyula and Ulunetol, which you need to have, which means that you're quite heavily, you need to lean into farming higher tier maps and as high as possible, tier 16 and stuff. So that's why you do need as you need to invest in increases to strength of your character as early as possible. You still can start with breaches and they will still award you with stuff that you can sell even on the league start and stuff. Especially you can combine it with expedition, for example, to get all those logbooks parallel while you're just setting up your atlas and stuff, and you will have some starting currency paired with breach, and then you can specialize into the breach only, or breach and delirium, or just play with expedition if you want to pair it up with breach. But in general, breach is a little bit of a higher tier maps farming method, and it just spawns a lot of monsters that you need to kill fast. Okay, now let's go to the talents themselves. So talents themselves are, of course, we're gonna take as much chances to contain breaches, because you can have multiple breaches in your map, which means that higher chance. We always want to have it. We want to have some scarabs. If you want, you can get sextants as well. Otherwise, so some additional rare magic monsters. Monster count is specifically powerful with breaches, with how many monsters they spawn, and those monsters just drop raw currency, they drop divination cards, they drop splinters, and it's everything that you need, and it's everything that will sell and that will be useful to you. Then we're going for gatekeepers. So your breaches will have chance to contain a boss, so breach lord, and you can have increased chance to have your breaches either Chayula specific or Ulunetol specific. And here I want to talk about this specifically. You do have sextants that may force Chayula or Ulunetol breaches to spawn. This is an extra layer of investment. It is more for high investment costs. So you want, if you're using those sextants, you want sextants that increase number of breaches. You want if there are available crafts with breach, you want available crafts with breach on map device. You want your scarabs to have additional breach as well. At least it's going to be this polished breach scarab, so that it contain additional breach and stuff, and maybe even higher, like gilded. But gilded is yet again, it is higher investment and it can be a bit iffy. But in general, here lies your first question: whether you want to farm only Ulunetol, then you need to farm it with the sextants. If you want to farm only Chiyula, you need to farm it with sextants, and then get higher investment in terms of scarabs and everything else. If you just want to play without sextants and with lower tier investment, then you want to take them both, so both of them will spawn quite often. They're both very valuable in terms of their splinters and breach stones. And this way, and if you're not using those sextants that specify type of breach lord, then you're just chill to take both of them. Then we're going for Call of Seshtula. This is more of an additional, if you have spare points, this is pretty good one. So this guy can drop breach stones of every type, and you can get it, and it's pretty powerful, especially if you're gonna channel all your points into breach and maybe like delirium, then definitely take this one as well. Then we're going for power struggle. Breach boss clasped hands in your maps have chance to spawn breach lord or breach boss. This is definitely a powerful one as well. And by the way, you need to be powerful enough to kill those breach lords that spawn inside your maps. If you're not killing them, you're losing some value. You're losing quite a bit of splinters and other good stuff that can drop from them. So you want your character to not only be speedy enough but powerful as well. If you can't kill them, it's not a big deal. If you're just league starting and it's your first breaches, you'll still have pretty good rewards out of them even without it, but you need to invest in your character in order to farm breaches, because it's kind of a challenging mechanic a little bit. Then of course we do have flash breach, which you want to take whenever your character is strong and fast enough that you want to speed up your breach close and up, open and closing, which means that it will spawn monsters faster. So if you can kill them fast enough, then it will be just an increase to your map flow. And you need to use all the breach hands and clasped hands and stuff like that. So your character needs to be quite fast in terms of movement speed, in terms of killing potential, and then it will close faster. So yet again, you can lose some things faster. So if your character is not fast enough, then don't take it for some time, but you need to strive in order to get this talent and be capable of farming everything with it. Though it's not a 100% that you have to have it, especially if it hurts your if it hurts your breach farming. Then we have our within their grasp. Breach bosses defeated in your maps have chance to drop a breach stone, a complete breach stone, which is 100 splinters. Drop the breach stones in your maps have chance to be flawless, and flawless breach stones are very, very, very rare, and they are quite costly. So you will have a bunch of raw currency gains in terms of this, not raw currency, but yeah, just currency gains with this talent. If you're killing your breach lords in your maps and they drop their breach stones and then their flawless and then their Chayula or Ulnatol, it's going to be a lot of currency that you will have. And here Eye Invasion, just additional breaches can spawn in your maps, which is always very good. And you don't want to open more than one per once, because yeah, it's just way better for your flow of mapping, and you need to open every single hands and kill breach lords if they spawn from those clasped hands or just they spawn regularly. And then our last talent is otherworldly artifacts. Breaches in your maps have increased monster density, and they have increased chance to drop breach unique items, which is very good. But monster density and in general the amount of rare magic monsters and just monsters in breaches, it is so high, especially if you have multiple of breaches in your maps, that it is a very, very powerful yet again multiplier for anything else that can drop in that map. So maps with good divination cards like dunes or cemetery or any other that will be added with this league, as we do know that our atlas shuffles quite a lot. You want to have at least semi-open layouts, better just open layouts, because breaches are very vast, and if the layout is bad, then you will just not have enough monsters spawning there. So you want open maps with good divination card drops that drop either divine orbs or some good stuff like mage blood, headhunter, or maybe any other valuable rewards. So breach monsters is a very, very highly dense enemies, and you will have a bunch of natural rewards ramped up through your breaches. Same thing with delirium. Whenever you're applying delirium to such a high amount of enemies, and delirium stops whenever your breach goes off, which means that you don't need to rush as much with delirium as well. So yeah, you want to have delirium, especially with all the delirium orbs being quite available for in the last leagues. They're not that rare and that pricey at all. So you just want this all on top of your amount of mobs, because it will increase your delirium orbs. For example, you can pair it up to so that your delirium rewards in your maps have increased chance to give delirium orbs, which sell pretty good. And yet again, with the amount of monsters that you have in breaches and with amount of breaches that you can spawn, it will just be very good. It will be on par with Legion in that term, in just terms of you enhancing your natural rewards from your maps. And then on top of that, you will have your breach stones, you will have your flawless breach stones, splinters, sometimes uniques from those bosses as well. Okay, now let's talk about scarabs and which scarabs do you want to play. So Rusted is just a no-brainer for any time that you want to play with it. As even if you're league starting, they're quite cheap. You want to buy them as fast as possible. They gain you additional breach. It is very powerful. Polished ones, they are better, especially if you're going for pure breach strategy, and if you're maximizing splinter output, if you're maximizing boss numbers and stuff like that, and you don't go into any other mechanics, and you're going all in on quantity of your monsters, quantity, pack size and stuff, then you probably want to have polished breach scarab. They give you very high value for their price. Gilded ones are way more for specified sextants strategies that are way more juiced up, and if you are just farming it without much of a juice, without much of additional sextants and stuff, you don't really need gilded breach scarabs. You will probably lose more than you will get. And winged breach scarabs are for grouping players, are for group play, which they are very high priced, and you cannot really justify their cost for you. Now then, with the bosses themselves, we've already talked about Ulnitol and Chiula. They are the best. They are the highest price and stuff. So you will have these breach stones, this purple one and this black one, and they will be just very good currency increases for your farming through maps with good divination cards in them. Then Skill of the Lords and the Chosen. The Chosen may drop quite often from not like quite often, but it has high drop chance from breach hands, which is yet again additional reason for you to open them all and for your character to be fast enough in order to be able to do all that stuff. And yes, the breach itself has pretty high investment cost in terms of Atlas talent points, so it's way higher than Expedition because you need most of the things that we do have here. You don't need heavy breach, which slowers your breaches, but it's like the only point, the only notable passive talent point that you don't need from here, and otherwise all the breach talent points are very valuable. You want to stack on top, especially if you're farming high juiced breach maps, if you're going for sextants, if you're going for gilded scarabs, for example, if you're going for delirium, and you're combining it with all the breach rewards, and you're specifically targeting one single breach lord and going for him exactly, and you're buying all those sextants for that, you probably want to have you probably want to have Eater of Worlds influence on your maps, because you can increase your quantity and rarity of items from dropped from your in your map in general, from altars and stuff. It's not mandatory, because we all know that Syrian Exarch altars are very good, and they just give you way more regular good rewards. But if you want to maximize profits by going full item quantity and item rarity increases, then Eater of Worlds may be a bit more valuable in that terms. But just in general, of course, you want to pair your breach farming with some influence, being it either Syrian Exarch or Eater of Worlds, depending on economy situation, but quite more often Syrian Exarch just gives you way better generic currencies like Chaos Orbs and all that stuff, and which you cannot say about Eater of Worlds, to be honest. And yes, this is Breach 101, I guess. And especially you need to think about this as well. Breach is way less popular than Legion farming, and they do pretty much the same thing. And because everyone spawns just like spams and farms legions, timeless emblems have their price reduced. Everything is quite cheap when it comes to legion specific rewards. It's cheaper. I'm not saying that you will not make profits with legion, because it is very, very profitable. But in terms of market share, in terms of how market and economy operates, if something is more rare, it will cost more. And if less people do breaches and more people do legions, by doing breaches you will have higher profits at some points and with some particular items, which may make this even if it just in terms of raw number of enemies and stuff like that, it may be a bit worse. And I'm not saying that, by the way, because breach spawns a lot of monsters. I'm just saying that the specific rewards to the mechanic will be way more in terms of demand if you do have less people who farm it. And this is in my opinion, this is more of a strength to breaches than to the legions that are way more popular. And especially if you're just done with legions and you farm them for so long, breach can help you out. It's something similar, but just with the other skin on top of it. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you're having a good time and you will farm a lot of currency with breach or any other strategy. I will have many different videos about farming and build guides in the near future. Subscribe to the channel if you want to have more content like this. Have a good day. Bye.